Welcome forward here. Consciously Creating Circumstances by George Winslow Plummer. We're entering into chapter 9, entitled Entering the Kingdom. Now let us review again briefly to be sure that we understand each other so far. Each of us functions mentally in a dual fashion. Objectively, we work through our brain with its powers of observation, comparison, reasoning, and imagination relating to things on our limited mundane plane. Subjectively, we work through our solar plexus, which its access to the unlimited power of the universal subjective mind. Your brain can direct the activities of your solar plexus, or, to put it another way, your objective can direct your subjective mind. For convenience, we speak of these as two minds, though in reality they are but one expression of the one mind. By deciding objectively what shall come into your life, and impressing the picture of that desire forcefully on your subjective, you can bring about those conditions as you wish, before your very eyes in due time. These images which we impress on the subjective we call thought forms. The process of using them we call, quote, consciously creating circumstances, end of quote. The successful people of this world are chiefly distinguished from the laggards by reasons of their use of thought forms, consciously or otherwise. This takes us in outline through our previous discussion. Now let us go on to further details of your basic thought form. You're probably anxious for me to give you specific suggestions about how to get a job or a better job, money, a wife or husband. But please listen to me. Do not form any specific thought form for a while. Stick to the basic, general thought form. It won't be easy to be patient, but it will be worth it. Let me give you 7 reminders, of which reads: 1. Make your thought form constructive. 2. Include benefit to others as well as yourself. 3. Make it practical. 4. Concentrate it on what you want to be or do, not on what you want to have. 5. Visualize the thought form as worked out now. 6. Make the thought form relate to yourself as the agent of good. And 7. Act constantly in full faith that your thought form is working out. Your life can be just as wonderful as you decide to make it. Now keep that brain of yours quiet with its habitual objections and doubts and hesitations. I repeat, your life can be just as wonderful as you decide to make it, provided only that you use the truths which the real you does not need to be convinced of, for it already knows them, but which the shell you call your body needs to be stirred into using actively. All powers in heaven or on earth is yours individually to command. Yes, I said all power. The great laws of the universe you have brought you to this point after eons of eons, where, as a self-conscious, individualized entity, you have had the key to nature's great storehouse put right inside your palm. Can't you almost feel it burning your flesh within its divine fire? Can't you hear it stirring its message that says, quote, "Come, my friend and brother, use me. There is nothing that shall be held back from you when once I have turned the lock. Let my golden substance turn this world into the kingdom of heaven for you now. End of quote. Here, to some, may be an impious thought if you consider the kingdom of heaven something to be hoped for after death, but not to be aspired to during this life. Banish that thought instantly forever. And I'm going to read that again. Here, to some, may be an impious thought if you consider the kingdom of heaven something to be hoped for after death, but not to be aspired to during this life. Banish that thought instantly and forever. The kingdom of heaven is everywhere, available at all times to those who seek it. And, quote, let not him that seeketh cease from his search until he find, end of quote, says the Master. Quote, and when he finds, he shall wonder, and wonder he shall reach the kingdom. And when he reaches the kingdom, he shall have rest. End of quote. I would suggest for your serious consideration that we have been discussing the kingdom of heaven by another name. I wonder whether you have spotted under the cloak of analysis we have thrown around it. Yes, my friend, one aspect of the kingdom of heaven is the universal mind. Now, I want you to stop reading this book in a moment and do something. I want you to build up yourself as a picture of whatever you, as a subjective of the kingdom of heaven on earth, would ask in a way of powers, joys, happiness. Make the picture as clearly and nearly perfect as your imagination can conceive. Keep it on this earth, remember, because this is practical, and make it helpful for others as well as yourself. Go ahead now, do it. Never mind why. We're all going to stop while you build up the picture. Put yourself mentally into the kingdom of heaven on earth. Seriously, do not read any further for the next 5 or 10 minutes while you concentrate on a picture of what the kingdom of heaven on earth would mean to you. All right now. Now you have just created your basic permanent thought form. So far you have only created consciously with your objective mind. Hold fast to it. Perhaps you will want to write it down. But that is only part of the process. Now let's complete it. You are now to speak mentally to your subjective mind, concentrating on your solar plexus as you link to universal mind. Impress it with the picture of yourself in the kingdom of heaven on earth as powerfully as you are and as you know now. Never mind whether you are doing it just right. You're making a start. You will do this many, many times more. Say to your real self mentally, quote, this is what I desire to be. All power is yours to create those circumstances. You have created them in the world of thought. I joyfully await the manifestation in the objective world. For lo, my own shall come to me. End of quote. Do that right now. Do not go on for even one more paragraph until you have done so. Now I suggest for your most serious considerations that you have just entered the kingdom of heaven. You have just taken one of the most wonderful steps that a human being can master, even greater to the satisfaction, or greater in its satisfaction, than the pleasure the proud parent takes in Junior's first step on this plane. And like Junior, you will probably stumble and fall and cry right afterward, but that need not bother you. Junior goes on to stride manfully across the room and out into the great world to take his rightful place. And so will you learn to walk boldly in the kingdom of heaven on earth and take your rightful place in it. In it there are many mansions. One of them is yours, and it will be built for you by the great architect of the universe, exactly according to your specifications. And here we are again, back with your old friend in thought form. It is the basic thought form which you establish that supplies the specifications of that mansion of yours in the kingdom of heaven on earth. It is the infinite power of the universal subjective mind that builds the mansion for you, and when it is ready, throws it open to your possession. You decide what shall be created for you. Then you hold fast to that image. You keep out contrary or deluding ideas. You stay your haste, knowing that your own will shall come to you. And remember that, quote, no wind can drive you bark astray. Let me read that again. No wind can drive your bark astray. Okay. End of quote, as John Burroughs wrote. And surely as the sun shall rise tomorrow, you shall live in your mansion of the kingdom of heaven on earth in this life, for you will hold fast to the basic thought form that you have just built. One of Oliver Wendell Holmes' most inspired stanza develops this thought, quote, build thee more stately mansions, O my soul, as the swift seasons roll. Leave thy low-vaulted past. Let each new temple, nobler than the last, shut thee from heaven without a dome more vast, till thou at length thou art free, leaving thine outgrown shell of life's unresting sea. End of quote. The mental scientist is engaged in this process. Every human being comes to his individual Garden of Gethsemane. Every human individual treads the Via Dolorosa. Every human individual comes sooner or later to his Golgotha. Your worries, your distress, suffering, or problems may come and be the Golgotha that is intended to turn your inner consciousness towards the light, toward the sun whose rays shine through the inspired ideas of mental science. The problems with which you doubtlessly have, you should be thankful for. For have they not been the agencies of exposing you to these truths? All power, both in heaven and on earth, is yours to use, if you seek it wisely, unselfishly, and constructively. Your beginning may be small, but they will be obvious to you in many ways that you encourage you, if you heed them, the little things. Be not greedy for the big things immediately. The big things will come in due time, and that time of waiting will be a test of your faith and your, quote, endurance unto the end. End of quote. One swallow does not make a summer, nor can 1 or 2 minutes spent on a constructive thought form undo the destructive influence of the countless weakening thoughts you may have ignorantly and unconsciously sent into the universal mind for years. Yet a beginning must be made somewhere and sometime. If you have participated actively in your own little exercises, you will have made an excellent beginning. Now, how shall you continue, and what shall you do to bring these efforts to fruition? What must you be sure to do in order to use these thought forms successfully? Such in chapter 9. Next chapter is entitled, Your Basic Attitude.